Try not to screw this up. Alright, what we're going to be focusing on today is the thermostat. This is part of the cooling system. The coolant can flow through here. It comes down into here, this is the thermostat housing. And a thermostat is a diaphragm that sits in between here and the housing. And it opens and closes as the engine gets hot or cold, and allows the coolant to flow through the engine. So we're going to be taking a couple bolts off here, this one here, and there's going to be another one over here. Now this has a gasket that actually keeps it sealed, and if we do have to replace it, we'll have to replace the gasket. Anytime you take this off, you never want to reuse gaskets. If you take things off that have a gasket, don't reuse your gaskets. They're cheap. Sometimes they're just a few cents, $1 at the most, unless you get into some of the bigger gaskets on your engine. But what we'll do, we'll take these two bolts out and take this thermostat housing off and check and see what kind of condition the thermostat is in. And I priced those, and they're roughly 20. I think the most expensive one I found was like $30. So a very cheap fix, but it keeps your engine cool. When those do go bad, your engine heats up very, very quickly, and that can of course be bad. So let's get this started. Alright, so I have some room to work here. I'm going to take off this air cleaner. Pop this guy off here. Set this aside, and that gives us a lot more room down in here to get our hands down in here and actually work. With that in the way, we'd be bumping a lot of stuff and possibly tearing something else up. So what you do want to remember is it does expose the carburetor, and you don't want anything getting down in here. So be very, very careful, especially water, things like that. But any kind of debris, you want to watch it getting down in there. So what we'll do is cover this up with something that is going to not allow any kind of dirt, debris, water, anything like that to get down in there, because that could do some really, really bad damage. So alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this over top of the carburetor and keep it covered. And then if you're going to be, we're not really dealing with any kind of liquids today. There may be some residual liquid inside of here, some coolant, but both lines, as you can tell, are off, so we probably don't have a whole lot of coolant, if any, flowing through the engine. But there may be some residual in there. But any chance of any kind of moisture or anything like that getting in this, I like to cover it with a bag, something plastic that's going to be waterproof. So it's just kind of that extra barrier that's going to keep anything from getting inside of the carburetor to cause any kind of harm. So get it covered really good. Make sure no debris, no water is going to get inside of there, and that'll help you out for the future. So we'll get started on this here soon. It should just be a couple bolts. We'll pop it off there, and I'll show you guys what it looks like inside. Alright, so I'll show you guys a little closer here what we're dealing with. There's going to be a couple bolts. Like I said, this one here. And let me see if I can show you the other one. You can kind of see it there. There you go. And that one right there. And that's just going to hold this on. Like I said, you can see the little bit of a gasket. It looks like it's probably going to be a cork gasket in between there. Just that little area right there in between, and that's going to keep that good seal to keep any of your coolant and stuff from coming out. So I'm going to take this hose off. It's just really, really simple here. We're going to use a flathead on it. Take this hose off, and then I'll show you the inside of this. But our thermostat actually sets right in here, And it's just a diaphragm, like I said, that opens up and shuts as the engine gets cool or hot. So let's get this hose off here and we'll get started. Definitely got some corrosion and stuff on it. You want to be careful. I'm going to show you. Of course, you don't want anything down in here. It's not going to harm anything super bad, but there's a lot of corrosion on this, as you can tell, and on the inside of the pipe. So I'll show you what's going to come out of this, what has set in there. There's all kinds of sediment and stuff, and you don't want that in there. This thing could, of course, use a definite good flushing. Where the coolant runs through and stuff, you just get a lot of buildup. And of course, this has been setting for a while, so I'm sure it has a bunch of stuff in there just setting. But I'll show you guys what's inside of this pipe. And of course, I did want to do this over the engine, in the engine bay, in the area there. But just to show you guys what kind of nasty stuff has been setting. All of that. It's coming out the other end here too. So all kinds of sediment inside of here. It's hard to tell what's inside of there exactly. It looks like one of the springs on the inside that keeps it flexible is actually peeled off. So we'll end up getting new hoses for this thing anyways. I'll probably just leave this off. It served its purpose back in the day, but it's just set for too long, and there's just no reason you can't replace it. There just should be a few bucks, not that expensive of a piece. So we'll go ahead and hang on to this because we want to get a good fit for a new one, and just make sure that it's the same size. All right, now we're going to take a look inside. Oh wow, that is nasty. There's all kinds of stuff sitting down in there. Try to zoom in and get a better focus on that. There's all kinds of stuff down there. This stuff is just going to fall out. I'm sure there's like probably leaves and stems and sticks and rust and all kinds of things down in there. So we'll get this thing off here and take a look down inside and see what all would have been flowing through our engine if we would just hooked a radiator up and started flowing coolant through this thing. Which is never a good idea. You always want to change this stuff out if a vehicle's been setting for as long as this one has. So. All right, we're going to get these two bolts off here. Watch this line right here, best you can. I could probably get a ratchet in here on this one, but I'm not sure that I could get one in down here. I'm just going to use a wrench to take these off. It takes a little bit more time, of course, but other than that, this is actually very loose, so I don't know if the thermostat had been changed recently. I didn't even have to break these bolts off. Normally they're kind of tight, but a little rusty and stuff. Once you get it out so far, sometimes you can just do them by hand like I'm doing here. And I'm just going to set this close right here, just in this little spot. It's almost like it was made just to hold those bolts.
If it were me, I would forget where I put it.
Well, just try to keep them as close as possible.
Yeah.
That way you don't forget where they were. And as you can tell, the housing's kind of moving as I break this off. I want to try to hold it in the best place that I can that it's set up at. I don't want to do any damage or get anything that's setting in this back down in there. So there we go. right, we'll get this thing pulled off here. The bolt is still in the housing part, but it's off the block. So pull that out. And look at that. Ugh. Man, that is nasty. All that corrosion, rust, everything.
Yeah.
Inside of there. Yep, all that would have been flowing through your engine to keep it cool. I doubt that would have did a whole lot of good. So we're gonna get that all cleaned out. That's just horrible, horrible nasty. And you can tell the gasket there I was telling you about. Just everything's old about it. It's set for a while. There's probably still a piece of the gasket, yeah. Gasket stuff on there. But this is what I was telling you, the diaphragm, it opens, closes. You can tell it has a little spring on there. When it gets hot, it opens up. And when it's cold, it shuts itself. So it's just a few bucks. It's on engines like this, it's a good, easy, quick fix. And you'll notice if your engine starts heating up, that's probably the first place you need to go to is your thermostat, because it just wears out and causes your engine to usually always run hot. So quick and easy fix on these on engines like this. Some of your newer models may be a little harder. So that's where we're at. We'll get it changed out. All right, and just like the hose, I'm going to show you guys what all was just inside of this housing. There's all kinds of stuff. There's probably mouse poop, which I just stuck my finger in. I just now figured out. Just now realized. There's just all kinds of stuff. This would have all been flowing through there, so this is always a good thing to check before you go running your coolant through there. And what I'm going to do with this, in order to actually take the thermostat out, I know we're not going to use it, so I'm just going to pry that off, and the gasket comes off with it, just like that. You see the gasket coming off, and that's all it is. There's still some nasty stuff down in there. So we'll get this all cleaned up, and of course this is your gasket, which is junk. Don't ever reuse these things, even if they don't look like this. If they look brand new, just don't use them. It's not worth it. So throw those away every time you take something like that off. And this part here, like I said, is just I think the most expensive, like I said, was 30 bucks. Most of the time they're in the 20s. So, but it just opens and closes. This one is just totally ratted out, so it's not going to do anything. But yeah, once I get a new one, get this thing flushed out and everything, I don't want to put a new one in with all of that nasty stuff that's in there. So we're going to have to really clean this thing up good and do a flush on it. Make sure probably all of our hoses are changed and everything before we go putting coolant in it, and replacing this with a new one, because it's just going to end up pretty much doing the same thing. If you have all that nasty stuff in there, it's going to get clogged up. It's not going to work right, and your engine's going to overheat. So that's where we're at now. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and take this bottom hose off here too. We took the top hose off, of course, to get to the housing, and then take the thermostat off. But this is the lower hose right here. We're just going to take this clamp off and be able to pull it off completely. So it'll be the same as last time, just this clamp comes off. It's got a flat head. loosen that up, let it fall down there. It's not going to hurt anything. And there's going to be some corrosion and stuff on this. What you want to do is just kind of move it back and forth. If you were going to reuse this hose, you wouldn't want to torque on it too bad because you don't want to rip it or tear it. Again, we're going to replace these because they're not that expensive. So I'm going to twist back and forth as I'm kind of putting downward pressure on it. And it's coming off slowly but surely. Oop. There's all kinds of stuff that fell out of there, all kinds of rust. Give you guys an idea again of what's down in there. You can see the spring down inside of there, all that rust and corrosion. So we want to get that replaced. All right, guys, like I told you before, I don't like to throw any of this stuff away before I get the new stuff. Reason being is because after this maybe sets for a week, month, who knows how long before I get another one, I may forget which is which. Now I know this is the top and this is the bottom, all right, because I said it here just a few seconds ago. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and mark these to allow myself to remember that this one is the top and this one is the bottom. You may think, well, I can remember that, you know, this one's thicker, that one's, I'm telling you, after a week, a month, whatever, you're going to forget. And you're going to come back, and especially with this thing out, it doesn't have a radiator on it, so I you know, don't remember exactly which one hooked up to which, or I can't see it without a radiator in it. So I want to mark this. It's something I actually learned from another guy, his channel, Chris Fix. I don't know if anybody's ever watched any of his videos, but I've learned so much from that guy, and he has great videos. I'll leave a link to his channel in the comments down below, and you guys can check him out. So I'll leave his link in there, and you guys can go to his stuff. He has just so much information. What I want to do, he would normally recommend to use a paint marker, which I need to get myself some paint markers so I can mark some of this stuff. You can mark screws, bolts, things like that, different color codes. But this, I want to put a bottom, or B for bottom and T for top. So all I'm going to do right now is just use some masking tape, wrap it around this thing. And it's a cheap way to do it. Take a little bit more time than a paint marker would, but, and then I'm just going to write bottom, or you could just put a B if you want to, but then you come out here and you're like, what's B mean? So you don't want that that to happen. Basically, you're just wanting to remind yourself bottom and the top. So I'm going to do that for both of them, bottom and top. Now it kind of stinks that you're going to have to keep a hold of these things, but I'm telling you, it's going to save you in the long run from having to chase your tail around and try to figure out which one of these is which. So it's a good idea to do that, and that's something I learned from Chris Fix off his channels, to label things like this in these situations. I've labeled wires pretty much all my adult life, but when it comes to things like this, you think, I'll just throw it away, it's old. You know, keep it. That way you can match the other part up with it. Number one, to know where it goes, and number two, to make sure you got the right part. Because I could order a hose for this thing, and the hose that is supposed to be for a 1965 Galaxie is, I may hold it up against this, and it's this much longer, you know, and I realize I have the wrong part. I wouldn't know that until, or unless I, you know, had this to compare it to. So keep your old stuff. It may drive your wife crazy because you have all this old stuff laying around that's of no use, or so she thinks, but we're actually using it to compare the new parts to before we get them hooked up. So just a little tip, and like I said, I learned that from Chris Fix. You can probably just type his name into YouTube and bring all his stuff up. He just has some amazing videos that have just so much information. I've learned a lot from his channel, so go check it out. All right, guys, this is going to wrap it up. We have learned a lot today. Went through a lot of things. We make sure we cover our carburetor when we take the air cleaner off. Cover it with something that's going to keep all that dirt, dust, any kind of water out of there. That's why I covered it with that bag, just in case we had any fluid running around. The hoses, the upper and the lower that we took off, and the thermostat housing, the thermostat, we popped it out of there. I need to get this screw actually back into the housing, so that I put there earlier. So anyways, we got that stuff off, and then once we got it off the car, we have it over here. We labeled it top and bottom, and again, you can do that with paint marker, which I'm going to have to get a set of those. It's just a lot easier, and you don't have to wrap it in masking tape like I did. So keep those parts so you can compare them with the new ones and get them back on your vehicle. So we'll get all this stuff cleaned up, and guys, I really appreciate you watching. Thank you for all the views, the subscribes. Please subscribe to this one or the channel, and like or dislike the video, and let me know in the comments what you want to see in the future. So I really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.